let's add a very, very simple question, just so you can see what that's like. Click on the plus. Yeah, give it an ID, and I'll just say, I'll call this question 1. I have the choice of adding that to the table of contents. So this is a text page, and a text page can hold a question, because in the form of a widget, but right now I'm not into widgets, I'm into page types, that little arrow. So I'll click on that arrow, and then click on multiple choice. So I'm given this layout. The question stem is the question. So I'll, which are a part of the new Bloom's taxonomy? And in this particular, I can have up to 7 distractors. The widget allows you 40 distractors, 100 distractors. By distractors, I mean options. Those are the options that students will choose from. With the widget, it's unlimited. Here, it's limited to. And once you get beyond 7, that's kind of crazy anyway. Each of these boxes, so A, B, C, D, I call them distractors. That's just a fancy term for options. So what are the options that one's going to see? So put in your options, and then once you've done that, I'll talk to you about this. I'll talk to you about this icon, and then I'll point out the fact that you can randomize. And this is how you would randomize, by selecting. Indicate your right answers with this little checkbox here. That's going to tell you what's right, what's wrong. So for me, my question was, which of the following are part of the new Bloom's taxonomy? I'll have some parts of the old and the new. You got to select the new, and so there'll be multiple corrects here. So this little icon right here, we're going to use it for feedback, but it also supports branching options. So for our purposes here, we're going to keep it simple, and we're going to use it for feedback. So remembering is the correct answer in my case. I've indicated it here. When I click on that little blue button, I'm able to you have to click on Show Feedback. And the reason why this is 2 steps is sometimes people will work on feedback and they're not ready to really release it yet, so they just kind of keep that off. So it's 2 steps. You have to show feedback and you have to put in your feedback. And I'm just going to provide some affirmative feedback in this case because it's the right answer. So remembering is the first level in the new taxonomy. And maybe I'll just make it explicit that this is correct. So I'll just put in a message, correct. And then remembering is the first level in the new taxonomy. Notice here, so up top under the options, it's no action. Later on, as we get fancier, you have a whole series of things that could happen as a result of this choice. And those are the branching options. And they're quite extensive, and we even have a scripting language. So for now, options, no action, there's no branching. We make sure this is checked off, we put in. And of course, all of this relates to options. So branch options. So if we had a branch option, for example, displaying a web page. So we're here, and if you chose this answer, maybe we want to display a resource on a web page. When is that going to happen? It can happen immediately. It could have to happen after a few seconds or upon the next click. So these things just relate to the branching options. For now, all we care about is this: show feedback and then providing the feedback. And then I'll go ahead and save that. So I'll go ahead and just add feedback. Good. Okay, another important piece to this. For this, if this ended up, like in my case, this is really technically a multiple select question because there's multiple right answers. If you wanted to enforce multiple choice, there's only one right answer, then you would choose use multiple choice radio buttons. So as opposed, these are check boxes, and check boxes, you can have multiple check boxes checked. If you wanted it to be like a radio button, if a student selects one, it deselects the other. If you want multiple select, you just do it, just leave it as it is. But here's a really critical one, and that is point value. So ultimately, this performance gets reported to Inspire, and how does it know how many points? And that's what you put in here. It'll always figure out the denominator. So if you did 5 questions, each of 10, it knows automatically. You don't have to tell it anywhere, this is out of 50. It just does the math. Let's preview this. And again, you can preview it. Okay, and then I'll see my page here, and here are my questions. I'll go ahead and submit that. So it's really good to be explicit in your feedback because the feedback dialogue is going to accumulate all of your feedback depending on what you selected. Let's contrast that with a widget. So let's add a page. So I added a page. Now I want to change it back to text. I want this page to be a text page. And I'm just going to put some text in here, like questions. Just something. For a widget, so now we're going to do the same question, but we'll choose a widget instead. Widgets can be anywhere on a text page. You can insert them anywhere. So I'll click on this little widget, and I'll choose multiple choice. This particular style, you'll see again and again and again in Lodestar. So it's really, really important for me to explain the anatomy of this dialogue. Point value, so here's where we would put the point value, so I'll just say 10. I'll put in my question, and then and I'll say which of these are part of the new Bloom's taxonomy. And your distractors, again, is a fancy word for option. So my option here, so for example, let me say remembering, which is right. So remembering is part of the new taxonomy. Here's how I indicate that it's right. So I simply click on this little drop down. So the feedback here is correct, and remembering is the first level, is the lowest level. Now you'll see this again and again and again. If I want to make a new distractor, it's this little plus sign right here. So the minus removes and the plus adds new ones. So I'll hit the plus and I'll say something like synthesis, which is not part of the new. And so I'll indicate no. If you forget to do it, it's always no, if you just neglect this. And I'll say something like, my feedback will be synthesis is the highest level of the old taxonomy. These should be fairly short, so I'll add one more and I'll say creating. And I'll say yes, that is right. The feedback is top level of the new taxonomy or something like that. I'll randomize these, and just, I'm going to make a point with the following. I'm going to, so imagine these are all, I mean, you could watch me put in a distractor for each of these, but, so now my ability to navigate between distractors is right here. So I can jump to a distractor, boom, boom, boom. So now these are all randomized, and as you can see, I have an unlimited number of distractors. Okay, what you get is this. This is just like a placeholder. It's obviously not interactive. If I needed to edit this, do you notice this rounded border? Just click anywhere in the rounded border in order to get back in to edit it. Okay. This is what it looks like. As I preview, and then again, I'm going to ensure that I reload. Now if I go to that particular page, so here's the page type question that's fully capable of branching, and here is my widget, and I can have any number of widgets on a page. So I could have 20 of these if I wanted, all on a page. So now when I submit, it automatically did the correctly and incorrect. So you incorrectly selected blah, blah, blah. You correctly did not select. So this becomes apparent to the screen reader. What did the visually disabled learner do? This JAWS will just read this all out, or another screen reader will read this all out and make it very, very obvious what this is. But now, when you do remove it, you also get the visual indicator of what's right, what's wrong, and the feedback's right, is put right into the flow. It's just put right there. So now this also gives you that thorough review and all the feedback. And this is kind of what you want. You want to see each item, what I did, whether it's right or wrong, and then what's the feedback for that particular item. And then you've got, so you can see what you get here, and you get your pagination, 3 out of 4. And the other thing that's happening as we do this is it's building a transcript. So you can see here in the transcript which of these are part of the new Bloom's taxonomy, and you can see the response of the student, the correct response, and the feedback. So everything is kind of summarized inside the transcript, and this can serve as a study guide. So if you use this correctly, at the end, if they hit transcript, they'll almost have like a study guide. This is what I did right, this is what I did wrong. This is, the feedback can recommend, well, you know, manual 36-1E5, you know, you really need to review that.